Alright, so with Rage 2 right around the corner, I wanted to make a video breaking down the first game story from 2011. It was a long time ago. So this will be for anyone who has never played it, or anyone who wanted to refresh their memory. I recently posted all the cutscenes and dialogue in 5 parts, but this video will act as the cliff notes. The game has a post-apocalyptic setting similar to Fallout, except instead of nuclear war, the world was hit by an asteroid in the year 2029. At the start, the player emerges from a cryogenic sleep from what is called an ark. It's just like how a player would emerge from a shelter in Fallout. The arks are part of a government contingency plan called Eden Project. They were sealed under the surface of the Earth in order to preserve enough of the human population so that they could rebuild after the asteroid landed. The main character's ark emerges after it detects an external disturbance, but unfortunately, he is the only survivor from his ark.
This is President Davis. You, the Ark Volunteers, are mankind's last hope. Our survival, our very existence rests in your hands. No one will know what you will find when you awake, but remember, you and the contents of these arks will form the final barrier to the extinction of mankind. Our prayers go with you, and Godspeed.
End playback.
You discover the world is now a brown, barren wasteland, terrorized by different bandit factions. You get saved from local bandits by Dan Hagar, voiced by John Goodman. He takes you to his settlement that he shares with his family. He's going to be your introduction to the world and the first quest giver. He explains to you that the Ark survivors are worth a lot of money when they get turned over to the current ruling class called the Authority.
You know, Ark survivors are worth a lot of money to whoever hands them over to the Authority. Wait, you don't even know the Authority yet. Well, I guess you don't know anything about any of this. Welcome to the future.
Dan's going to send you to kill the rest of the bandits that he killed so that he could stop any retaliation on his settlement. He's going to also send you to a nearby settlement called the Outrigger Settlement to gather medical supplies after they do attack. The Outriggers are going to give you a few missions of their own, things like finding a member of their clan, aligning a radio tower, and alerting the locals that there's going to be mutants in the area. Yes, mutants. So this is where you're going to discover a new type of enemy other than the bandits. And you also learn about the mineral Infiltrating in Hagar settlement here.
Hey, come over here. I've got one word for you to remember. Feltrite. You know what Feltrite is? No, probably not. Well, let me tell you. Feltrite was inside that asteroid that darn near wiped out the whole planet. But what it left behind, now that is interesting. Feltrite, ore from outer space. Powerful stuff. You get your hands on it, you keep it. Only trade it for something really good.
Eventually, out of fear of attracting the Authority, Dan's going to send you to the town of Wellsprings. It's going to be the first of the 2 major towns in the game. You're going to give a message to Mayor Clayton. Wellsprings is a town like right out of a Wild West movie. Here you can have some very short interactions with the people. They're mostly reserved around the new face, but they do reveal information about the area, and you'll learn that they're also in fear of the Authority.
Welcome to Wellsprings, stranger. Best little town this side of what passes for civilization and a few good safe miles from any Authority outposts. Nicest people you'll ever find live right here. Friendly folk. Not your wasteland bandit scum. Good honest people. Well, enough with all that. So I hear you have a message from our friend Dan. Let's have it then.
In Wellsprings, Mayor Clayton and Sheriff Black will become your new primary quest givers. They're going to send you out on things like doing resupplies, have you compete in races to upgrade your vehicle so you can survive the bandits out in the wasteland. This will eventually take you to J.K. Styles. He's going to make you participate on his TV show called Mutant Bash TV to get one of the race sponsorships. It's one of the cooler missions in the game. Also, during this time, you're going to get your first glimpse that the Authority is up to no good from Crazy Joe.
Now those mutants are getting worse. Don't know how, but the Authority's been doing experiments on them, making them bigger and meaner. You watch out. You see a mutant, you run. Ain't no reasoning with them. They'll just tear you apart for fun. I got nothing more to say to you. Now you get going.
Eventually, the mayor will send you to investigate a Feltrite crater he believes bandits are mining. After retrieving a sample, he's going to send you to Dr. Cavassier to see what the bandits were up to. Cavassier will take the sample, but he's going to need more time to analyze it. And at this time, he also recognizes that you are an ARC survivor due to his time working for the Authority. He also reveals that there is a group called the Resistance who oppose the Authority.
Haven't met one of you for a long time. Since working with the Authority up in the city. You don't know how lucky you are that the Authority hasn't found you yet. If the Authority catches you and you don't have anything they need, you'll be dead. You are part of the old world, not part of their new world. Of course, there are people who stand up against them. Not many of them. They call themselves the Resistance. Not that I profess to have any special knowledge of them, but they exist in small bands, fighting back, and maybe, just maybe, you could be useful to them.
He's going to send you on a mission to retrieve parts for an upgrade to your defibrillator. He's going to have you go to a place called the Dead City to retrieve the part. The city's going to be overrun with mutants, and this is going to be the first time you're going to run into a giant mutant that has been cybernetically enhanced. When you return to the doctor, he's going to reveal that the bandits were trying to refine the Feltrite into an explosive accelerator. He gives you the sample he neutralized to give to the mayor. And during this time, the alarm will go off, and you'll discover that the bandits have infiltrated the town's sewer and are trying to poison the water supply. After stopping the bandits, the townspeople start to welcome you more and start to give you advice and help out.
I know what you're up to with the Resistance. Be careful, though. You can't trust everyone in town.
Eventually, you're going to get tasked with taking the toxin back to Dr. Cavassier so he can analyze it. He's going to tell you the toxin is exactly what he needs to complete a formula for a mind control serum he was planning on using against the Authority. After giving you the darts, he's going to send you back to a Resistance member named Elizabeth in Wellsprings.
You have something from Cavassier? It's not safe to talk here. Follow me.
Elizabeth is going to ask you to break out the Resistance leader, Captain Marshall, from an Authority prison. After you save Marshall and you fight your way out, you both are going to agree to meet up back at Wellsprings. But when you return, you're going to notice the Authority now has drones in the town. Marshall tells you whether you like it or not, you're now a member of the Resistance. He also reveals because you're an ARC survivor, you were given an ID drive that he believes is still at your ARC. ID drives have critical information like DNA records or locations of supplies. He then tasks you with retrieving it.
In this world, information is power. Come to think of it, I bet your ID drive is still in your ARC. You, like all ARC survivors, were assigned an ID drive, a micro drive that contains important information about the ARC program. Information such as locations of strategic ARCs, supply caches, DNA records, who knows what. Anyway, each drive contains a unique piece of the puzzle. So as you can guess, those drives are critical to both the Authority and the Resistance.
Alright, so you're going to make your way back to the ARC, you're going to fight some Authority along the way. Grab the ID drive, return it to Marshall. When you return, he's very thankful because he's got a lot of information to help the Resistance. But he's going to ask you to return to the Dead City where Dr. Cavassier sent you earlier for the defibrillator part. They want you to recover data on suspected experiments that were conducted on mutants by the Authority. That was alluded to earlier by Crazy Joe. After recovering the information, you're going to return to Wellsprings and discover that the Authority has ramped up their presence in the town.
I know they're looking for you. You best think of heading out of town. Soon.
Alright, so after giving the data to Marshall, he's going to invite you to their secret base underneath the game's second major town, Subway Town. On your way there, he's going to reveal he was also an ARC survivor, and then that the Authority's leader, General Cross, sabotaged the ARC so that only his followers emerged. At their secret base, you're going to meet the other two members of the Resistance, Lassard, the electronic expert, and Portman, the weapons specialist. Before sending you up to Subway Town, Marshall warns you about the town's boss, Redstone. He says Redstone will sell you out to the Authority if you're not useful to him, So your first task is to gain his trust. Before you go up, Elizabeth explains what the Authority was up to with the mutants.
You have to know, the human mutations weren't caused by cosmic radiation from the asteroid hit. The mutants were created by the Authority experimenting with nanotrites and humans. The failures were rejected and discarded into the wasteland like trash left to reproduce and spread. That's the truth, and that's what people need to know.
Up on the surface, you're going to be greeted by Saul, Subway Town's mechanic and secret member of the Resistance. The town's going to be similar to Wellsprings, except it's going to be more dark and grimy. Obviously, because it's under, it's in a subway. The people, they're going to be just as cold as the people as Wellsprings to a new face, and they also have a disregard for the Authority, especially because they are closer to the Authority base called Capital Prime. Redstone wants you to prove yourself by stopping mutants down in the tunnels. The mutants are stopping workers from expanding the town. So you're going to talk to the foreman, then you're going to blow up the mutants, and then you're going to return to Redstone. After gaining some initial trust, he's going to send you to go after a rival faction called the Gearheads. Their base is in a bank above them on the surface. The Gearheads, they supply all the power, and they just seem to keep raising the price, which is pissing off Redstone. He suspects that they were able to combine Feltrite with plutonium, and that they're hiding it in the bank's vault. So he's going to send you to steal a sample from the vault, but the sample you steal is going to be damaged, so Redstone, in fear of retaliation from the Gearheads, is going to send you to their base at the power plant, so that you can permanently redirect the power to Subway Town and then kill the Gearheads. He promises if you do this, he'll let you stay in his town. At the power plant, you're going to discover that Redstone has sent other people here before you, and the Gearheads are expecting you, and they have traps everywhere for their unwanted guests. After killing their boss, you flip a switch to redirect power to Subway Town, but when you return, you learn from Saul that the Authority has taken control, and that they already apprehended Redstone. Alright, so next you're going to go back to the Resistance base. Lassard's going to give you a new mission to infiltrate Jackal Canyon, where he believes another Ark is located. He wants you to retrieve its decryptor so that he can get all the information off of the ID drive you got from your Ark earlier. After fighting the Jackal faction, probably the toughest enemies in the game, you'll find another Ark where you'll pick up the decryptor, and then you'll actually hear the same message you heard from President Davis in this Ark that you heard in the beginning of the game at your Ark. So you take the decryptor and bring it back to Lassard. This information is going to contain the location to every Ark that was buried. So Marshall wants to use this information to free all the Arks and fight the Authority with the remaining soldiers. He tasks you with infiltrating the Authority's base, Capital Prime, so that you can trigger the emergence of the remaining Arks. But before you leave, Portman's going to give you a brand new weapon to take down the Authority, and Elizabeth's going to give you some more information on the mutants.
As I dig deeper into the Authority data, I've run across a number of entries alluding to some sort of weaponized mutants or meta-soldiers. I'm not sure exactly what that means. The data is heavily encrypted, but I definitely suspect that the Authority is working on creating an army of mutants and somehow using nanotrites to control them.
At Capital Prime, you're going to face off against the enhanced mutants Elizabeth warned about. After you activate the data transmission terminal, you're going to trigger the emergence of all the remaining Arks. So this is where the game abruptly ends, and a lot of players were unsatisfied with the lack of closure. But it did set up a sequel. So stay tuned to my channel for videos from Rage 2. It's going to come out this Tuesday, May 14th. I'll let the ending play for the rest of the videos if you want to check it out. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Preparing for data transmission. Stand by. Final upload sequence initiated.